The models in this video are made by Kuzim or Adam Midzuk and are animated by Zulazrin Zulkifli. You can follow the antics of the 3D artists and animators via their many social media links in the description and comment section below. Over the last few 100 million years, plenty of supersized sea serpents have slithered silently through the sea. Many of these bulky behemoths have bested the biggest benchmarks of beastly breadth, with the currently known award winner being the blue whale. Aside from this mammal of titanic proportions, plenty of other animal groups have tried their best to beat it, with some at least reaching the biggest size of their class. One of those was the mighty Megalodon, and its magnificently massive remains have been meticulously measured through their misty fossil record, leaving one among many questions. Why did it disappear? Otodus Megalodon was one of the largest sharks and largest predators of all time. Its fossils have been known to humanity for centuries, even making it one of the first fossil species to be described by Western science. It's found worldwide and in rock layers from the Miocene and Pliocene, although there is some debate about the species' generic classification, varying from Carcharodon to Carcharicles to Otodus. The generally agreed upon Otodus Megalodon appears to be the last species of a Paleocene to Pliocene lineage that includes Otodus obliquus and earlier species formerly classified as Carcharicles, such as Otodus angustidens, and is characterized by steadily increasing body size over time. How big was it? Well, that has been oft discussed over the last few hundred years, but Megalodon is usually now thought to have reached a body length of between 16 and 18 meters, 52 and 59 feet, making it one of the biggest sharks ever known and one of the few Miocene marine superpredators, alongside the enormous, sleek raptorial sperm whales and the lesser-known gigantic false mako shark, Parotodus benedenii. Over the past few decades, plenty of research has been published on just about every single aspect of this rubber skeleton freak of nature. Everything from its anatomy to its evolution, its ecology, what it is related to, how big its body was, studying the insides of the teeth, anatomy of its vertebrae, growth of its vertebrae, its physiology, to its sex life, even to its preferred living arrangements. But in all that, little attention has been given to its extinction until recently. A 2014 study published in PLOS ONE by Drs. Catalina Pimiento and Christopher Clements used what is called an optimum linear estimation analysis, which is using some mathematical formulas, namely this thing, which solves for t with a little ch on top of it with a capital E down here. It represents the time, t, at which the extinction, e, can be inferred. The study found that Megalodon went extinct in the late Pliocene, about 2.58 million years ago. Then, a much more recent study published in 2019 in PeerJ by Drs. Robert Boesnecker, Dana Arrett, Douglas Long, Morgan Churchill, Evan Martin, and Sarah Boesnecker found the 2014 study to be a little off. In their 2014 study, Pimiento and Clements used a dataset with what is called dubious incidence data. So, incorrect identifications, lack of provenance, poor stratigraphic control, and more. I will get more into these issues as we go on, but they indicate a desperately needed, thorough reevaluation of the origin and geochronologic age of late Neogene Otodus Megalodon specimens found worldwide. Trying to figure out the age and presence of Megalodon through the rock layers is a pain in the rear. This is a result of many things. Firstly, there is a lack of fossil-stuffed rock layers that are continuous through the late Neogene. Secondly, there are a lot of megalodon teeth of questionable origin. Many times, the fossils fall out of their original layer and are reburied in a different layer, obscuring their true age. And thirdly, many specimens of megalodon have questionable origins to begin with. The 2019 research team noted that the rock layers of the eastern North Pacific, especially California and Baja California, are made up of many fossiliferous or fossil-abundant marine layers with rich marine animal communities and excellent age control, meaning there isn't a lot of ambiguity as to what layer is which and what time each layer represents. It basically maintains a virtually continuous marine fossil record from the Middle Miocene to the Pleistocene epochs. Other locations with significant Neogene-aged marine vertebrate remains that also include megalodon fossils unfortunately lack well-sampled Pliocene to Upper Pliocene intervals, with intervals just referring to the layer itself. The 2019 team had previously published reports on megalodon fossils from densely sampled and well-dated Miocene and Pliocene units in California and Baja California, which were historically known for extensive Cenozoic marine vertebrate assemblages, and then presented several new megalodon specimens in their newer 2019 paper. They also re-examined some fishy specimens of dubious origin that appeared to have been reworked from underlying strata or were not well documented regionally and/or stratigraphically. All of that forced the 2019 team to then reconsider the dataset that Pimiento and Clements had released to the scientific community back in 2014. The 2019 team extensively examined each occurrence's geochronologic age control, using some of the criteria, methodologies, and reporting standards proposed and/or used by previous research. They removed some doubtful records from their dataset, corrected the geochronologic range for the majority of them, added several new records, then did another optimum linear estimation analysis on the amended dataset to estimate the period of the megalodon extinction. To do the work of collecting data, the team examined the megalodon fossil collections of the California Academy of Sciences, Natural History Museum of Los Angeles County, Riverside Municipal Museum, San Diego Natural History Museum, and the University of California Museum of Paleontology. They identified 145 megalodon teeth from deposits dating to between the Lower Miocene and Pliocene epochs. From there, they then split up the teeth. Their study only needed to focus on the youngest fossils from this span of teeth, so ones that date to the latest Miocene, what is called the Messinian age of the Miocene, and younger. This immediately threw out 99 teeth and kept 46. From there, they examined all of these teeth for evidence of being reworked. Evidence left on the fossils that they had been moved from their original rock layer. Such evidence may be abrasion, cracking of the enameloid layer, phosphatization, and fragmentation. Then, they also examined all the teeth specimens for details of their provenance, which involved identifying the specimen's collectors, collection dates, locality descriptions, and similarity of preservation with other material from the same locality. The team found that the dataset used by Pimiento and Clements back in 2014 showed that their age arguments were comprised of only a few references to peer-reviewed stratigraphic literature, and in some cases relied entirely on paleontological publications, without examining more recently published geological studies that provided precise geochronologic data. In other words, they seemed not to have done enough homework in the geology side of the shark teeth, really only looking at the paleontologic side, which can create a nasty bias. Paleontological studies usually reference the initial work documenting a fossil occurrence without acknowledging later geological refinements, but because stratigraphy is dynamic, it is necessary to search thoroughly for stratigraphic and geochronologic data published afterwards. The team reanalyzed the dataset by identifying each megatooth occurrence's intraformational stratigraphic position wherever possible. This means that the team identified the position of the megateeth in the rock layer within each formation, hence intra-formational. They combed through many up-to-date geologic publications to find the more rigorous dating methods as they were applied to the formations in which all the megateeth were found. So that meant microfossil age correlations and absolute dates through radiometric dating. They made sure to cut out any megateeth occurrence that had any of 8 problems. 1. There is no sub-epochal age control. 2. There is no minimum age control. 3. All available specimens for a formation are within a private collection. 4. Specimens are ambiguous. 5. Specimens that cannot be identified as Megalodon without a shadow of a doubt. 6. A minimum date falling within the Miocene. 7. Occurrences where the age is based only on the presence of Megalodon fossils, creating circular reasoning. And 8. Unpublished data that cannot be evaluated by the scientific community. Once the team had evaluated and revised the old 2014 dataset, they did another optimum linear estimation, or simply OLE analysis. The revised dataset includes 43 data points with global occurrences. The OLE analysis is an accurate one. It was just that the 2014 dataset was a little off. The formula I showed you earlier of the OLE is actually obnoxiously complex, with a bunch of the little letters representing the results of other formulas, which also represent other formulas. So the 2019 team did the calculations in the computer using simulations. The team ran 10,000 simulations and then took the mode estimation of extinction from those simulations as their final value. The team found Pliocene-aged Megalodon teeth in Lomita Maro, Capistrano, Fernando, Niguel, Purísima, San Diego, San Mateo, and Tirabuzon formations in California and Baja California. They identified them as belonging to Megalodon due to a special list of features, like a large overall size and thickness, triangular shape, fine serrations, V-shaped chevron on the lingual surface between the crown and root, and loss of lateral cusplets at the base of the crown. The only other shark teeth that may be confused with meg teeth are those of Carcharodon hubbelli and Carcharodon carcharius. But these other sharks have teeth that tend to be flatter, significantly smaller, with coarser serrations, and no V-shaped chevrons. An interesting thing the team found while scrolling through museum collections is that there are far more meg teeth collected from the Atlantic coast than the Pacific. They found 145 in museum collections from the Pacific, while they found 85 from just one locality in the Atlantic coast, with several hundred more noted from the same locality, with literally countless more from other Atlantic localities. I mean, the prime meg teeth collecting spots are along that coast: Florida, the Carolinas, Georgia, Virginia, and Maryland. One hypothesis to explain this discrepancy is that Megalodon were just naturally rarer along the Pacific, or that they went extinct earlier along the Pacific coast. From here on out, the team provided all information they found for each formation and occurrence of meg teeth as they were found in museum collections. I will not be walking through each as thoroughly as they did, or we'd be here all day, but I will summarize. The Capistrano Formation, found in Orange County, California, is a thick neogene mudrock unit which dates from the latest Miocene to the early Pliocene. Here are some of the teeth from that locality. With math, the team found these teeth to belong to the latest Miocene epoch to earliest Pliocene, which agrees with the rock layer dates, so about 5.6 to 3.7 million years ago. Unfortunately, this contrasts with Pimiento and Clement's 2014 dataset, which had these teeth from this rock as being 11.6 to 3.6 million years old. The Fernando Formation, found in Ventura and Los Angeles basins of SoCal, is a poorly defined marine sediment Pliocene layer of rock. It's poorly defined, partially due to how a big chunk of rock between it and much older Miocene rocks is just gone. This situation is called an unconformity, as the two layers did not form together naturally. They are in an uncomfortable position, with one layer way younger than the other. There's a joke there. I know it. I know it. I just can't put my restraining order on it. Anyway, here's the teeth from this locality. Unfortunately, the team excluded these specimens from the dataset because they couldn't pinpoint a date without a shadow of a doubt. Why was it included in the paper at all? I don't know. Don't judge. Oh wait, I do know. It's because it was part of the 2014 dataset, and the 2019 paper was finding that the teeth were too ambiguous to include in a dataset. Game, set, match. Checkmate, atheists. The Imperial Formation is a thick-ass layer of mud rock on the west side of the Salton Trough in Imperial County, California, hence the name. You can find it confidently exposed to all onlookers around the Coyote, Fish Creek, and Vallecito Mountains. This occurrence has only one record of one megalodon tooth found near the remains of an extinct walrus. This specimen is clearly Megalodon, as it contains its defining traits, and the team found it to be from the latest Miocene to early Pliocene, 6.43 to 4.187 million years ago. The Lomita Marl is a bunch of unconsolidated calcareous mudstones and sandstones, which you can find exposed in the western LA Basin, specifically in Torrance and Lomita, northeast of Palos Verdes Hills in LA County. A handful of mag teeth are reported from this locality, even being so old that they were originally named Carcharodon branneri and Carcharodon leviathan. Unfortunately, the team found that they seemed to be too reworked and messed up from anthropogenic activities that their age could not be determined. They were left in Pleistocene sediments. The Niguel Formation is a bunch of unconsolidated conglomerates, sandstones, and siltstones in the San Joaquin Hills in Orange County. Only 2 good specimens of meg teeth were found in this locality and unfortunately show evidence of being reworked from older rock layers, thus were thrown out and could not be dated appropriately. The Purisima Formation is held together a bit better. It's a lightly consolidated layer of sandstone, mudrock, and diatomite. You can find this baby in west of the San Andreas Fault in Santa Cruz, Half Moon Bay, and Point Reyes in central and northern Cali. Only one tooth was found here. Take a look, it's a nice tooth. This one didn't have evidence of being moved post-fossilization and could be dated to latest Miocene, 6.9, nice, to 5.3 million years. Next up, the San Diego Formation. This sucker is an 85 to 90 meter monster layer of unconsolidated sandstones, mudrocks, and conglomerates of terrestrial and marine origin from the Pliocene and Pleistocene. You can catch a glimpse in the vicinity of San Diego, between the Pacific Beach and northern Baja California. Here are some of the teeth from this formation. Some show evidence of being reworked and were thrown out of the dataset, but one was not, and it could be dated to the early Pliocene, 4.2 million years ago. San Mateo Formation comes swinging in next. It's a thin layer of unconsolidated sandstones and conglomerates in Oceanside in San Diego County. This layer has let ripped a bunch of meg teeth, which you can ogle right here. These teeth have not been reworked and occur in both the upper and lower parts of the formation, providing a great range of dates, all within the earliest Pliocene, 5.33 to 4.6 million years ago. Next up is the Santa Cruz Mudstone. Gee, I wonder what this layer of rock is made of. Granite. No, it's just a bunch of different kinds of mudstones west of Santa Cruz County. There has only been one tooth found in this layer. Apparently more were reported, but cannot be found. The team were able to reliably date the specimen to the Messinian, 7.6 to 6.5 million years ago. After that last muddy one, we got the Tirabasson Formation, which is made up of unconsolidated fossil-stuffed sandstone in the vicinity of Santa Rosalia along the eastern side of the northern Baja California peninsula. There were 14 specimens of meg teeth here, as you can see. They did not have any evidence of being reworked and date to the late Miocene to early Pliocene, specifically 6.76 to 3.6 million years ago. And that's that. Well, for all the new data anyway. So, what were the problems with the original 2014 dataset? Well, a lot of the specimens were pinned to specific stages of geologic epochs, which artificially expanded the bounds of their dates. The 2019 team threw out 10 of the original 42 occurrences if they did not fall into a set of criteria I mentioned earlier. On top of that, they added new occurrences, so that's good stuff. And what were the results? The big funky fish is dead. Super, very, really spectacularly dead. Using that OLE analysis, the 2019 team found a bounds of extinction for the shark at 4.1 to 3.2 million years ago, with a mode of 3.6 million years. Here's a graph. People love graphs. It shows you the data. The fossil record of Otodus megalodon in other regions lends support to an early Pliocene extinction. Previously described records of Pliocene age include occurrences from the eastern US, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, Western Europe, Southern Europe, Libya, and South America. Now that we have a good idea of when it went extinct, we need to get a better idea of why. In order to get an idea of the different causes for the extinction of Megalodon, you need to have a good time frame. A thorough explanation of all the extinction hypotheses for Megalodon are outside the scope of this video. I discussed one possible influence in my video on how the ecologies of great whites and Megalodon changed over time. Check it out if you want to know more. Climate, upwelling, currents, sea level, and paleogeography changes are all plausible factors of the megatoothed shark lineage's collapse. Physical events coincident with a mid-Pliocene extinction include 1. A decrease in upwelling in the eastern North Pacific. 2. Increased seasonality of marine climates. 3. A period of climatic warming and permanent El Niño-like conditions in the equatorial Pacific. 4. Followed by late Pliocene global cooling. 5. Closure of the Panama Seaway and restriction of currents and east-west dispersal among marine organisms. 6. And stable sea level during the early Pliocene. And 7. Followed by continuous sea level fall related to initial glaciation during the late Pliocene. Some of these changes in oceanic circulation and upwelling were regional, and therefore do not represent likely causes in the extinction of Megalodon. However, these events may have been in part responsible for a fragmentation of the animal's geographic range. Long-term cooling following the mid-Miocene climatic optimum may have reduced the geographic range of the species as well. However, a robust analysis of worldwide geographic distribution in Megalodon found no change in the latitudinal distribution coincident with changes in global climate. The lack of evidence for a climatic or geographic driver of Megalodon extinction suggests a biotic driver is probably responsible. In other words, it wasn't the climate or a change in geography, but a change in beasts. Within the eastern North Pacific, many archaic marine mammals went extinct during the early Pleistocene, about 2 million years ago. But the new extinction time for Megalodon predates this marine megafaunal extinction by 1 million years or more. Now, the appearance of the modern marine mammal fauna appears to have occurred by the early Pliocene in the North Atlantic and western South Pacific, which suggests that the modern marine mammal ecologies had a lopsided transitional turnover. This is in direct contrast to the global, simultaneous extinction of Megalodon. Many of those modern marine mammals first appeared in the Pliocene epoch coinciding with the Meg extinction. It remains unclear whether there is a causative connection here. Another possible driver for extinction at the new time is competition with giant killer sperm whales. Raptorial sperm whales were global in distribution in the mid and late Miocene, and many were similar in size to Megalodon, so may have been in a competitive arms race. To support this weird relationship, there were plenty of small and medium-sized baleen whales worldwide during the mid-Miocene, and they made good eaten to both megapredators. Some have pointed to 2 occurrences of very fragmentary and small bits of ancient orcas as possible evidence that it was the advent of the killer whales that sent the Meg to the grave. Both the killer sperm whale competition and orca competition ideas are sorta bunk, because the raptorial sperm whales seem to have declined in diversity and eventually went extinct before Megalodon did. And the ancient orcas were rare, small, and were not as macro-predatory as they are today. Some have figured that it was the evolution of the mini baleen whales that jump-started the evolution of huge body size in both Megalodon and the killer sperm whales, but that the sperm whales went extinct before Megalodon for another reason, and that it was the continual decline and eventual extinction of the mini baleen whales that thoroughly sunk the Meg. This is bunk as well, because though diversity in mini baleen whales did decrease, there were still plenty of them up until the Pleistocene. We even still have a few species alive today. It's also interesting to note that the extinction of Megalodon also saw an inflation of some baleen whales into the giants we see today. There are many possible things that caused the shark to just go away. I think it is more parsimonious to accept that it was multiple factors that eventually sunk the Meg. So that's the new time frame for the extinction of Megalodon and some meandering explorations of the possible methods of extinction for the beast. For more interesting stories about nature, the history of life, or what goes bump in the night, subscribe, hit the bell icon for updates, like this video, and drop a comment in the comment section below. Thanks for watching. Special thanks to my elephant tier patrons: Arda Bayer, Biotiverse, Christoph Hubinger, Dinosaur, Isaiah Garza, PA Brew News, Ray, Rudy Redgrave, Smiling Walrus. And another thanks to my Tyrannosaurus tier patrons: Iberospinus, Iron Bladesman, Swaffles is Weird, Teeny Dragator, The Dogman,